Hi there, I'm Justin Pritchard, and this is the Lincoln Corsair. It's now the most affordable Lincoln on the lot and turns out an excellent choice for the shopper after easy and approachable access to the latest tech and gadgets and a driving experience that's big on tranquility. So let's take a closer look. With its sub $44,000 Canadian asking price, Corsair is the most affordable Lincoln in the lineup today, and the new entry point to the brand, taking a place beneath Lincoln's other crossovers like the Nautilus, Aviator and Navigator. Corsair is one of many in a crowded segment full of worthy luxury crossover contenders, and it intends to give shoppers a unique take on the luxury SUV, complete with many unique touches and features that help set it apart in a very competitive market. Under the hood, it's a turbo 4-cylinder engine lineup in the driver's choice of the 2-liter with 250 horsepower you see here, or if you like, there's a 2.3-liter turbo with 295. The latest in intelligent all-wheel drive is on board, of course, and that means you've got solid power and traction to spare to go along with 2 seating rows and a power tailgate, and so far that's all fairly par for the course if you're shopping this segment. Corsair is about the size of the new Ford Escape if you're wondering, and that's because it's built on the same platform as the latest Escape, and that's not a bad thing. So let's check out the functionality, starting in back with the kick-to-open tailgate. Decent room, though not enormous, plenty for a load of groceries, some hockey equipment, more 4 people's worth of luggage, and more room if you need it with the rear seats folded. Upright, they'll accommodate 2 adults with comfort. At 5'10", I had no problems, and legroom and knee room were surprisingly good. Up front, the driving environment is laid out nicely, no issues getting in and out. A just right ride height means you slide sideways and down slightly into your seat with minimal climbing or plopping. And once you're in and comfy, you've got proper cup holders, charging provisions, and at-hand storage nearby and in relative abundance. And that means there's no problem staying organized, recharged, and tidy on the go. On visuals, the cabin does a nice job of setting itself apart. A distinctive styling language and design touches help give Corsair a unique, satisfying, and upscale look and feel by way of authentic materials and shapes and sculpting. My tester got wood, metal, stitching, and loads of piano gloss trim to richen things up further. Just bring your Swiffer, as all the glossy, dark surfaces are dust magnets, though they do look fantastic when they're clean. I love how they've kept the stereo and climate controls down here on this little slab, and this kind of reminds me a little bit of a keyboard. And among other things, that means that these controls aren't chewing up much of the forward scenery as you drive. And the angle of this console means it's easy to rest your hand on it like this, kind of like a keyboard, and that means you can use the different functions without really even having to look down and away from the road. So if you're not a fan of having to tap around on a touch screen to do things like change your fan speed, for instance, you'll love this use of good old-fashioned hard buttons here, as well as a few more in this area, and that lets you access various common settings quickly and system menus and other functions without any second thought. Just above that console is the so-called piano key shifter, which replaces a traditional gear lever with cleanly integrated keys that you tap to shift. Engage reverse and it calls up a high-resolution camera display on the touch screen just above. And the other functions in that touch screen, and there are many, are highly approachable, easy to use, easy to learn, and in all, it pretty much just works the way you'd expect it to. Plug in your compatible phone for added functionality, Android Auto in my case, putting Spotify and my maps and contacts right at the tips of my fingers. Just like this clever touch I've never seen before, a voice command button integrated right into the steering wheel rim for easy access to the voice command system. There are other clever little touches too. Remote start the engine, and when you get on board, you just click it into drive and you're off. Or the backlighting on the steering wheel controls, which changes context depending on the on-screen menus built into the instrument cluster, all digital by the way. or the way the safety features all work with a corresponding on-screen infographic that makes it easy to see what's active, what's not, and otherwise to keep an eye on things as your Corsair scans and analyzes the world around for potential threats to your safety. Lane departure, collision alert, blind spot monitoring, autonomous braking, it's all here. And for listening, there's a Revel stereo system, plenty of punch and clarity, and I definitely appreciated its services on several long-distance drives. Drivers can expect excellent performance from the adaptive headlights too, which can steer their clean white light into corners. Elsewhere, tranquility. For the money, here's a machine that does a lovely job of giving you a largely uneventful drive. The engine is very quiet and packs plenty of low-end torque, meaning you never have to get it revving much at all if you're not in a rush, and that makes it even quieter. The ride, smooth and dense, feels solid and durable, set about halfway between sporty and comfy. It's not too much of one or the other, but does strike a nice balance between relaxed and responsive. Even on rough roads, the suspension keeps ride comfort to appreciable levels, though certain bumps and craters do prompt the odd jarring whack from beneath. The big wheels might be to blame here. Steering and brakes are both a bit more precise and sporty at the tips of your fingers and toes than you might expect, and that gives you an eager-to-please feel when you like, but again, this one's best used by the driver who primarily just wants to sit back and relax in peace and quiet. Performance? Well, the 2-liter engine is fine. Be sure to test drive the 2.3 as well. Some drivers will wish for more sauce from the smaller engine, and while quiet and generally refined, it can be a bit lurchy and lumpy at times, especially with the auto stop system, stopping and restarting things. I actually found it smoother in the Excite drive mode, which is like sport mode, and you engage it and other drive modes from this dial, which calls up the corresponding animation in the instrument cluster. Which, by the way, is my biggest gripe of this machine. It's an all-digital cluster, and that's pretty slick, but it's brown in color and much of the dials are dimmed out other than where the needle is pointing. And I guess this makes it more simplistic looking, but I was left wanting for something a bit more interesting to look at. I just don't love brown-colored instrumentation, I guess. No complaints about the braking. Jam the left pedal and she bites hard and fast, hunkering down from speed in a way that demonstrates some serious urgency when it comes time to get stationary. So ultimately not my favorite instrument cluster, and some might wish for a touch more power or smoothness from the 2-liter engine in specific driving conditions. But beyond that, what you've got here is a pretty solid package that caters to the driver who wants all of the good stuff and all of the toys, but presented in a way where the relaxing drive of a luxury vehicle and not the gadgets and tech take center stage. And so to me, the real secret sauce with this machine is how easygoing it is. Little about interfacing with the Corsair will cause you any stress. Even its most complicated features are very easy to use, and most drivers will get comfortable with this machine in very quick order. And isn't that what luxury crossovers are all about? I'm Justin Pritchard.